Ford F-150 Raptors compared, which generation is right for you? Choosing between new and old, V8 and twin-turbo V6? We can help. The Ford F-150 Raptor pickup feels like a long-running staple, but there have only been two of them, with Ford only recently revealing the new third-gen model. The original was introduced for 2010 and lasted through 2014 before being replaced by the second-generation model in 2017. Both are hugely upgraded F-150s with awesome suspension modifications, muscular flared fenders, and big horsepower engines for bashing around off-road at high speeds. So, what are the differences between the first and second generation Ford F-150 Raptors? Plenty. For the sake of clarity, we'll contrast a 2014 Raptor, the final model year for the first generation, with its bigger engine, with the 2020 Ford F-150 Raptor, the latest second-generation model. Many of the changes are F-150 specific rather than Raptor specific, basically meaning that the biggest contributors to Raptor changes between 2014 and 2020 are technological advancements and aesthetic tweaks to the underlying F-150. Therefore, the goal is not to label one as good and the other as bad. We'd drive and own either, and if we were rich, both. Instead, we're just serving up talking points for your next friendly argument with friends over the pros and cons of each. What makes a Ford Raptor special? SVT vs. Ford performance. Sure, it's a technicality, but to some, it matters. The 2010 to 2014 F-150 Raptors are SVT Raptors, while second-generation Raptors are branded Ford Performance Raptors. The Ford Special Vehicle Team, SVT, launched during the 1992 Chicago Auto Show, creating high-performance halo vehicles for the Ford lineup under the core values of performance, substance, exclusivity, and value, and acting like a sub-brand similar to BMW M or Mercedes-AMG. Before turning its attention to the F-150 Raptor, the SVT team also developed the F-150 SVT Lightning, 1993 to 1995 and 1999 to 2004, and cars such as the Contour SVT and Focus SVT, plus a Mustang or two. Ford Performance, which basically absorbed SVT and Ford Racing under a single umbrella in 2014, was therefore responsible for the second-generation Raptor. The SVT Raptors could be viewed as more exclusive since there were fewer of them made per model year than the Ford Performance Raptors. SVT Raptor owners like to point out all the interior and exterior SVT badging on their trucks and hang on to SVT truck parts. The second-gen Raptors don't display an abundance of Ford Performance branding, but, then again, neither truck really needs special badging to stand out. What are the engine differences between the F-150 Raptors? One of the biggest dividers between the old Raptor and the new can be found under their hoods. It's the most talked about difference, in fact, and a deal-breaker to some. The earliest Raptors came with a weaker 5.4-liter V8 that was later phased out. The 2014 first-generation SVT Raptor came with a 6.2-liter V8 that produces 411 HP and 434 lb-ft of torque. Its output isn't drastically different from the second-generation Raptor's EcoBoost V6, but it has the naturally aspirated response and badass sound of a big V8. In terms of fuel economy, the 3.5-liter EcoBoost is better on paper, 15 mpg city, 18 mpg highway versus 11/16 mpg city/highway, but in reality, no one buying a Raptor is likely hinging that decision on fuel economy performance. Today's Raptor, the second-generation model, is powered by Ford's high-output twin-turbo 3.5-liter V6 good for 450 HP and 510 lb-ft of torque. The 10R10-speed automatic can be manually shifted via paddles on the steering wheel. We should also mention that the V6 features automatic stop-start tech, which shuts it down when the vehicle is stopped at red lights. It can be turned off. The intercoolers can also interfere with an aftermarket front-end winch mount. The V6 is strong and torque-rich, but its artificially enhanced sound is merely so-so, at least compared to the engines offered in the first-generation Raptor. How much suspension travel does a Ford Raptor have? What makes a Raptor, well, a Raptor? The suspension mods, of course. Both trucks get Fox internal bypass shock absorbers, beefier suspension components, and lots of suspension travel for soaking up big bumps and yes, even jumps.